I would like to pick up where we left off going through the Sermon on the Mount in Greek, doing a linguistic analysis of the Sermon on the Mount, and we worked our way up to verse 19 of chapter 6. And I'll read the Greek and we'll talk through the grammar. Me thesauridzetai humen thesaurus epites hapu seis kybrosis afanitse kai hapu kleptai diarususin kai kleptusin. That is, notice, do not treasure for yourselves treasures upon the earth where moth and eating, or we could say rust, is ruining or disfiguring, and where thieves are digging through and stealing or steal. Notice me thesauridzetai. Me is your negative particle, and it introduces the imperative, the present imperative in thesauridzo. Notice present imperative, second person plural, from thesauridzo. So do not treasure for yourselves. Notice humen takes the dative case here, going back the personal pronoun, a second person personal pronoun. So do not treasure for yourself thesaurus. Here we have a cognate accusative. Do not treasure treasures, accusative plural, from thesauros, meaning treasure. So do not treasure for yourself upon the earth treasures, where, notice epites case takes the genitive case, upon the earth, where hapu, here we have the relative pronoun, where moth and eating, brosis means eating, and here I think it's the kind of eating away, like causing rust. So where moth and rust, afanidze, is bringing ruin or is ruining, is disfiguring. Present indicative active, third person singular from afanidzo. Notice the epsilon iota is a third person singular. We think of luo, lues, lue in the ending. So where moth and eating or rust is ruining, and where hapu kleptai, where thieves. Here we have a feminine plural noun, nominative, where thieves are digging through. Diaruso, to dig through. Present indicative active, third person plural from diaruso, where thieves are digging through, and kleptusin, and they are stealing, from klepto. So klepto is the verb to steal, and usin would be the ending, showing we're looking at a present indicative active, third person plural. So what he's saying is, don't treasure for yourselves treasures here on earth, where moth and rust is actually bringing ruin or disfiguring, and where thieves dig through and steal. We're thinking of a type of home at this time, a mud brick, where they could dig through and steal. And so that's the imagery here. But one is to treasure treasures in heaven. Notice Jesus goes on in verse 20, and it reads, Thesauridzetai dehumen thesaurus in urano. Hapu utases utabrosis afanidze kai hapu kleptai u diarususin ute kleptusin. That is, but treasure. And here again, we have the imperative from thesauridzo, but treasure, present imperative, second person plural. Treasure for yourselves. There we have the dative again. Thesaurus, treasures, accusative again, from thesauros, treasures in urano. Notice in takes the dative case here, or the locative, in heaven. In other words, treasure in heaven. Hapu uta seis uta brosis afanidze, where neither, now we have neither nor in uta, neither moth or eating or rust is ruining, and kai hapu kleptai, where thieves, u diarususin, are not digging through and stealing, nor stealing, kleptusin. Again, we're looking at present indicative active, third person plural, from diaruso and klepto. Then we go to verse 21, and notice Matthew writes, recording on Ord, Hapu gar estin ha thesarasu, ake estai kai he cardia su. For where your treasure is, and notice God is giving a causal, introducing a causal clause here for where estin is your present indicative active, third person singular from me. So where your treasure is, and ha thesauros is your nominative singular with the definite article in the nominative, and su is your second person personal pronoun in the genitive. Seis, su, soi, se. So where your treasure is, eke estai kai he cardia su. There shall be also your heart. Notice estai, again, is the future indicative active, third person singular from me. So there shall be also your he cardia. This is where we get the word cardiology. And notice it's a nominative feminine singular, first declension noun, with the feminine article he in the nominative case. For that, there shall be your heart. So Jesus is saying, where your treasure really is, that's where your heart is. If your treasure is here on earth, then your heart will be here. If your treasure is in heaven, then your heart will be there. But it's better to treasure up in heaven, where neither moth or eating or rust can corrupt. So then we go on to verse 22, and he talks about the light of the body. Haluknas tu somatas estin ha ophthalmos, that is, the lamp of the body is the eye. Notice haluknas is lamp, and tu somatas is from soma. Notice we have a third declension noun, soma, somatas, somati, somata. And so, and it's in the genitive case here, the lamp of the body is, estin is your present indicative active, third person singular from me, is ha ophthalmos. So the lamp of the body is the eye. And the eye, if the eye is sound, then all the body will be shining with soundness. Notice as Jesus goes on, and as Matthew records it, an un e ha ophthalmasu haplus, halan tasoma su photenon estai. That is, therefore, if your eye should be sound, haplus, healthy. Notice, by the way, we're seeing a consequence here. And A is your present imperative, your present subjunctive, third masculine singular from me. So, and if therefore your I should be sound. And there we have su again, your genitive of the second person personal pronoun, and haplas means sound. So if your I is sound, then halanta somasu photenan estai. Then your body, and notice again we have ta soma, which is the neuter nominative, soma, somata, somati, again, third declension noun in the neuter. So your body shall be shining, or a shining body. Photenon, an adjective, and meaning shining. And estai is your future indicative active, third person singular from me. So in other words, what the text is saying is that the I is like the lamp. And if it's sound, you're going to see what is really valuable in life. And you're going to go after that. If your eye is focused here on treasure, it will not be sound. And he goes on verse 23, Decha aftamasu faneras e, that is, and if your eye be evil. Notice on here is introducing the subjunctive in a. So if your eye should be evil. And so a is your present subjunctive, third person singular from me. So if your eye should be evil, and notice de here can be translated but, an adversative use of de. But if your eye, ha ophthalmos, is your nominative singular, masculine singular, if your eye is or should be paneras. Paneras means evil. If it's the opposite of that which is healthy, then halan tasomasu skatenan estai. Then all the body shall be dark. And notice, it's sort of like if the eye is not healthy, it blinds everything else. And he's looking at having a wrong kind of a desire. And so halan, all the body is or shall be, skatenan means dark or darkness. Notice estai again is your future indicative active, third person singular from me. So if this is the case, instead of having an eye that's shining brightly, your eye is dark, and it affects your whole sense of purpose, your whole activity, your whole body. Because if the eye doesn't see, then you can't get around. And he's applying it metaphorically to being blinded by going after riches in this world rather than after that which is eternal in heaven. And so then he goes on in the next phrase, eun tafos ta en soy, skatas estin, ta skatas pasan. That is, if therefore the light which is in you is dark. Estin. By the way, estin is your present indicative active, third person singular from me. And notice we have taphos again, the neuter noun in the nominative case. And this is, again, a third declension noun, phos, photos, photi, and so forth. So if then the light, which, and ta here is the definite article that we would translate which in this context, in you. Notice in takes the dative case here, in soy. Se, su, soy, set is the way that this would be declined. And so in you, uh, if the light which is in you is dark. Skatas meaning dark, and estin again, present indicative active, third person singular from me. Then there is the adjective, how great is the darkness. Notice if that light which is in you becomes dark, what an awful thing. It's very sad, I think he's saying. How great is the darkness. And I think one of the terrible things in life is that people go after what is temporal rather than what is eternal. And so this is a horrible kind of darkness where money is what drives people rather than the kingdom of heaven in serving it. So he goes on, Udes dunatai dusin kyrios du liuin. That is, no one is able to serve two masters. Notice Udes is rendered no one, not one, ace meaning one, and u meaning no one, is able. Dunatai is your present indicative, middle in form, I believe, but active in meaning, a deponent form. No one is able to serve two masters. Notice duci kurios would be two lords or two masters. So no one is able to serve two lords. And notice we have a dative plural in kurios, and duliuing is a present active infinitive from duliuo. You think of your luo, luane is your present active infinitive to lose. And so here we see it. No one is able to go on serving two lords or two masters. Or either, now here we have either or, a, or either he will hate the one. Notice, egar tan chenan, chena, miseses. He will hate the one, kaitan heteran agapeses, and he will love the other. Notice as we look at this, misese is from misao, to hate. And notice we have a future indicative active, third person singular, from the verb to hate, misao, to hate. So either he's going to, it's actually misao, either he will hate the one. Notice misao with this sigma, and then your epsilon iota. We're looking at a future indicative active, third person singular from misao, where either he will hate the one and will love the other. And notice tan heteran is the accusative, and agapese is from agapao, future indicative active, third person singular from agapao. So for either then, he will hate the one and will love the other, or either or here, or he will cleave of the one. And notice antexitai is from the root antekamai, and it means to be loyal to. And we could translate it to be loyal to give attention to. And I think it's looking at loyalty here. Or he will be loyal to the one. And notice we're looking at a future indicative middle third person singular from antekamai. Or be loyal to the one and will hate the other. And notice tu heturu is your genitive case, followed by kai, the conjunction, and Kata phronese is from kata phroneo, that is, he will despise. And again, notice we have the future indicative active, third person singular in the se. In other words, we think of luso, luces, luce, if we were using luo as a model. Or he will despise the other. You are not able, udunaste, present indicative active, or present indicative middle, another deponent from dunamai. We're looking at I think a deponent form here. You are not able, notice, second person plural, you're not able to go on serving God, to serve God. Notice the O is in your dative case with your O plus your iota subscript, and duluing is your infinitive active. Again, going back to luing, from duluo, to serve. So you are not able to serve God and mamona. Mamona is looking at earthly goods or money, mammon. And it actually goes back to the Hebrew wording here in the background. So you're not able to serve God and at the same time to serve earthly goods and money. One of the things that we learn from this great text is that where we put our heart is where our treasure is. It's either going to be here on earth, accumulating money, or it's going to be in eternity in heaven. Some of you might have heard me tell the story that the rabbis tell. I often tell it in the book of the Kohelet, Ecclesiastes, where after accumulating all wealth, you go out of the world as you come in, that is, with nothing. And the story is told of a fox who saw this beautiful vineyard, and he wanted to go in and eat all the grapes that he saw that inside the vineyard. They were luscious grapes. But to go in, there was only a little gap that he could go in. So he had to diet to become sufficiently thin to go in the gap. He got into the vineyard and he ate all the grapes that he wanted to eat. But then he became a fat fox and he tried to get back out and he couldn't. So he dieted until he got sufficiently thin to squeeze through that little gap again. And then he looked at the vineyard on the outside and he said, "Vineyard, vineyard, how have you helped me? As I go in, so I come out." And that's true in life. No matter what we accumulate in this life, in the way of money, in the way of earthly things, it's all going to be left behind. But what we do for eternity, treasuring up a treasure in heaven, will never, ever be destroyed or be ruined, because the Lord guarantees that it will go on and you'll be rewarded for it. I'm reminded of Paul when he says, I've fought the good fight, I've finished the course, henceforth there is laid up for me the crown of righteousness, which the Lord, the righteous judge, will give me in that day, and not to me only, but to all those who also love his appearing. May that be our goal in life, to treasure treasures that are heavenly treasures, serving Jesus Christ, rather than simply making all the money we could make in this world, which someday it's all going to have to be left. But that heavenly treasure endures. Thank you for being able to share this with you.